There is a kind of summer silence that most people misunderstand. The feeder is still hanging in the same place. The shrubs are full and green. The bird bath is sitting in the sun, bright and harmless looking. But by late morning, the yard begins to empty. The chickadees that were moving quickly through the branches at sunrise are gone. The cardinal that stood at the feeder with his beak full of seed has vanished into the shade. A robin stands under a bush with its mouth open, barely moving. And if you look closely, you may see something that feels wrong. Birds standing with their beaks open, wings slightly dropped, bodies still, as if the whole yard has slowed down under the weight of the heat. Most people see this and think birds are built for it. They live outside. They have survived summers for millions of years. They must be fine. But that assumption hides one of the hardest truths about backyard birds. Heat is not just uncomfortable for them. It can push them to the edge of what their bodies can survive. A bird's normal body temperature is already around 104 degrees Fahrenheit. On a day when the air outside reaches 95 or 100 degrees, the difference between normal function and dangerous overheating becomes very small. And unlike you, birds cannot sweat. They cannot take off their insulation. They cannot walk into an air-conditioned room. They have to solve the problem with the body they have, in the yard they are given. And sometimes, the things humans think are helping them, the bird bath, the feeder, the open sunny lawn, can become part of the danger. Today, we are going into what your birds actually do in extreme summer heat, the distress signals most people miss, the backyard objects that can hurt them, and the simple changes that can make your yard a place they can survive. Stay until the end, because the most important thing birds need during a heat wave is not always more food. Sometimes it is something much quieter and much easier to provide. Number 1. Birds are better protected from cold than heat. This surprises people because we tend to think of feathers as lightweight and delicate. But feathers are also insulation. They trap air close to the body. They help birds survive cold mornings, freezing nights, winter winds, and rain. In cold weather, that insulation is a gift. In summer, it can become a burden. Imagine standing outside in 95-degree heat wearing a down jacket you cannot remove. That is closer to the problem a small bird faces than most people realize. Its body is already hot. Its feathers hold heat in. Its muscles generate more heat every time it flies. And because it cannot sweat, every cooling method available to it costs something. Usually water, usually energy, sometimes both. So when you see a bird sitting still in the shade during the hottest part of the day, it is not being lazy. It is reducing heat production. When the feeder goes quiet between late morning and afternoon, it does not mean the birds have left the neighborhood. It often means they have retreated into the coolest parts of the yard, doing as little as possible because movement itself creates heat. Number 2. The open beak is not always a relaxed bird. One of the most common heat behaviors people notice is a bird sitting with its mouth open. It can look like yawning. It can look like resting. But on a hot day, that open beak is often a cooling system under stress. Birds use a behavior called gular fluttering, where the throat area moves rapidly to increase evaporation. It is one of the bird equivalents of sweating, except the bird is not sweating through skin the way you do. It is moving air across moist tissue, trying to dump heat from the body. The problem is that evaporation uses water. Every open-mouthed breath is part of a trade. The bird cools itself, but it also loses moisture. For a small bird, water loss can become dangerous quickly. A chickadee or wren does not carry much reserve. In serious heat, especially if clean water is not available nearby, the bird can be forced into an impossible balance: keep cooling and lose water, or conserve water and risk overheating. That is why a bird panting in your yard should change the way you look at the scene. It is not just a summer detail. It is a signal. The bird is actively fighting heat. Number 3. Wings can become radiators. On very hot days, you may see robins, cardinals, doves, or other birds holding their wings slightly away from the body. Sometimes the wings droop just enough to look strange. Many people assume the bird is tired or sick. Sometimes it might be, but often this posture is another cooling behavior. Under the wings are areas with less feather coverage and blood vessels closer to the surface. By holding the wings away from the body, the bird exposes these warmer areas to moving air and releases heat. It is using its own body like a radiator. But here is the important part. When you see a bird standing almost motionless, beak open, wings dropped, body low, and not reacting normally, that bird may be near its physiological limit. This is the quiet suffering of summer birds. They do not cry out for help. They do not make the yard look dramatic. They simply become still. They hide. They breathe with their mouths open. And by the time many people notice, the bird has already been struggling for a long time. Number 4. The most dangerous thing in your yard may be the thing you put there to help. A bird bath can be one of the best gifts you give birds in summer, but only if the water is clean, cool, and refreshed often. In hot weather, still water can turn bad quickly. Algae grows, bacteria multiply, parasites spread. Diseases can move from one bird to another in a shared bath or drinking source. The water does not have to look filthy to be dangerous. It may still appear mostly clear while becoming unsafe. This is what makes the bird bath problem so cruel. A person looks outside and thinks, "I gave them water." The birds find it, desperate for relief, and the very place meant to help them can become a disease source if it is not cleaned. In summer, water should be changed often. The basin should be scrubbed. Shade matters. Moving water helps even more. A dripper, mister, or small fountain can keep water fresher, cooler, and easier for birds to notice. Birds are drawn to the sound of moving water, and during heat, that sound can guide them to relief. Number 5. Metal feeders can become invisible hazards. In direct sun, metal parts can become much hotter than the air around them. A metal perch, hanger, roof, or tray can heat to temperatures that are painful or damaging to a bird's feet. A feeder that seems perfectly fine from the kitchen window may be almost untouchable by noon. If birds suddenly stop using a feeder during the hottest part of the day, they may not simply be full. They may be avoiding heat. They may remember that a perch burned them. This is one of the hardest backyard dangers to notice because nothing looks wrong. The feeder is clean, the seed is there, the birds still come in the morning and evening. But in the sunlit hours, the object itself may be hostile. A simple test changes everything. Touch the perch or metal surface with your own hand during peak heat. If it is too hot for your skin, it is too hot for a bird's feet. Shade the feeder, move it under cover. Choose materials that do not become scorching. In a heat wave, placement can matter as much as food. Number 6. The missing hours are not empty. Many birds shift their entire daily schedule during extreme heat. Dawn becomes important because the air is cooler and the body can work with less stress. Evening becomes important for the same reason. But from late morning through afternoon, the yard may seem strangely dead. No songs, no fluttering at the feeder, no movement in the grass. This is not absence. This is heat avoidance. Birds pull into shade, sit deep inside shrubs, reduce movement, and wait out the worst hours. In a good yard, they have places to do this. Dense shrubs, native plants, brush piles, low shade, trees with layered branches. In a poor yard, they may have open lawn, hot fences, exposed feeders, and nowhere to hide from radiant heat. That is why shade is not just comfort, it is survival structure. A shaded yard gives birds a place to lower the cost of being alive during the hottest part of the day. Number 7. Not every strange posture in the sun means danger. Some birds sunbathe deliberately. They may spread their wings, flatten themselves, and expose feathers to sunlight. This can help with feather maintenance and parasites. A sunbathing bird may look dramatic, but it is usually alert, controlled, and responsive. Heat exhaustion looks different. A bird in trouble may be collapsed in shade, unable to perch properly, barely responsive, breathing hard, or unable to lift its head. One posture is maintenance, the other is collapse. If you find a bird that appears to be suffering from heat exhaustion, do not force water into its beak. That can harm or drown it. Place it carefully in a cool, dark, ventilated box and contact a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. The goal is not to play veterinarian. The goal is to reduce stress and get expert help. Number 8. The most vulnerable birds are often the ones you cannot see. Nestlings suffer intensely in heat. They cannot regulate body temperature as well as adults. They cannot fly to shade. They cannot reach water. They cannot choose a cooler branch. They are trapped in the nest, and nest temperatures can rise dangerously high, especially when nests are exposed to sun or built near heat-reflecting surfaces. Parent birds may stand over their young, spread their wings, and shade them with their own bodies. In doing so, they sacrifice some of their own ability to cool down. A parent bird shielding chicks in heat is making a brutal calculation. Expose itself so the young survive. This may be happening in your yard right now, hidden in a shrub, under an eave, inside a nest box, or deep in a tree. You may never see it. But during a heat wave, the yard is full of these invisible struggles. Number 9. The best help is often simple. Clean, shaded, moving water can change a bird's odds. Shade over feeders can change a bird's odds. Native shrubs and layered plants can change a bird's odds. A bird bath placed in full sun may become hot and unsafe. The same bath in shade, cleaned often with moving water, becomes a survival station. During extreme heat, birds do not always need more seed. They need reachable food, safe perches, clean water, and shade close enough that they do not have to cross a dangerous open space to use it. This is the final shift in how to see your yard. Birds are not choosing it because it is the closest yard. They are choosing it because, in some small way, it works. It has water they can trust, shade they can reach, cover they can disappear into, perches that do not burn, a place to feed at dawn and return again when the evening cools. So the next time your summer yard goes quiet at midday, look again. The birds have not vanished. They are tucked into the shade, breathing through open beaks, holding wings away from their bodies, waiting for the sun to lose its force. The robin under the bush, the cardinal deep in the hedge, the chickadee that only appears at sunrise and sunset, they are all showing you the same thing. Summer is not just a season of abundance. For birds, it is a daily test of water, heat, shelter, and timing. And once you understand that, the smallest actions begin to matter. Check the bird bath, touch the feeder perch, move water into shade, watch for panting birds. These are distress signals from animals that cannot ask for help. Tell me in the comments what you changed in your yard today, or what heat behavior you have noticed in your birds. And share this with someone who keeps a bird bath or feeder, because someone else's yard could become safer tonight.